Shane here with Shanty Homestead. I've been concerned about our dolings that are in the bullpen for this time of year. Cold weather's coming, a lot of rain has been happening. Winter weather is coming, freezing temperatures. Lisa will show you over here what they've been in. I appreciate this and it's been helpful, but just the three of them are in there and there's always manure in there and it's always wet and just really cramped and really crowded. So I decided it was time to build a better shelter. All of this, with the exclusion of some screws, is 100% used material that I've hauled off from various places for free. Built out of garage door panels. I wanted something big enough that it would cover this gap inside the bullpen and be able to be outside the bullpen so that whatever we put inside here would have plenty of room and no shelter inside. And so it's finished. We're going to show you the whole building process inside the shop, and I'm going to truly kind of try to do it as like a homesteader and figure out how to put some skids underneath it and use material we have here on the homestead. I think it's going to be a great shelter, and I'm excited about having something that I feel like is going to be good for winter weather for our goats, for our dolings. The bullpen here at Shanty Acres Homestead does not have adequate shelter for the dolings or for any animals we might put in that bullpen for that matter. And I've been collecting these garage door panels from a local area business that replaces door panels, replaces entire garage doors, I should say. And then the door panels that are left over from the door taken down, he has to pay to haul them off and get rid of them. So for right now, I've got a deal worked out where I can haul them off at no cost. I've had a collection of these out behind the shop, and you hear in a little while, you'll hear the rain coming down. On a rainy day, I decided to build a shelter for the bullpen, for the dolings. I find these things are extremely easy to take apart. They are incredibly easy to cut with a circular handsaw, with any dull circular handsaw blade or carbide tip blade, and relocate them in any shape or configuration you want. And everything, just about everything on these has been repurposed. You'll see here that I'm using the old brackets that I take off when I take the panels apart, take the old brackets off, and then just use the screws that I took out of the brackets. They're self-tapping screws, and put everything back together. This is a project that I've had on my mind for a while. I've been thinking about doing. This particular shelter is going to be 12 feet wide and 8 foot deep. I didn't measure it on the back. It'll be somewhere around 36 inches tall in the back and taper up to tall enough to walk in the front. I'm making it 3 high here. You'll see on the table. And I really didn't have any blueprints, didn't have any plans, didn't have any idea really. I kind of had an idea, but I didn't have any real drawings of how this was going to go. So I'm just kind of building it on the fly and changing things as I go. The angle iron that you see here was also some metal that I hauled off from a project and a job, and aluminum angle iron here, 4 inch by 4 inch. If a person had to buy that or had to pay for these panels, you could have some money tied up into these shelters, but everything I'm doing here is repurposed. You notice here the screws that came out of the brackets of these panels. They are self-tapping screws, and even though they've already been used once for the doors, they are doing just fine at tapping themselves through the aluminum and through the aluminum on the doors. These are insulated panels too, by the way. There are some of the panels that I could get that were non-insulated. I decided to pass on those. I like the insulated ones because they're going to be tougher. They're going to handle a little bit more weight of the snow and various other things like that. You'll notice here, I don't have a level on the job. I used a square very little. About the only thing I'm doing is measuring the panels to make them the length that I want. They are basically like a tongue and groove board. They fit one right on top of the other, just as you'll see me setting them up there, and then screw them together at the corner. By the time you do that, everything's squared up. It's secure. It's sure. I'm not 100% sure at the point that I'm building right here how rigid this is going to be to drag it with the tractor, but I know I'm probably going to have to put it on skids. As we get into this a little bit farther, I'll probably explain a little bit more how I'm doing it. I'm going to use panels for the whole thing. Panels will be used for the roof as well. At this time, I'm planning on putting a flat roof on it, but I'm not necessarily satisfied that that's a good idea. So I'll probably take a little bit of time over the next day or two to think about it before I finish it and see if I want to make some changes to this. All in all, these are going to be extremely good goat shelters. They'll look good when they're finished. I know it's getting bad weather now, but if I like what I have when I'm finished next summer, I think I'll primer it and paint it to match my barn and paint it to match the bullpen. Going to make an excellent shelter, though, for several goats there in the bullpen. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the build. So, as you can see, I decided to make some changes. I came home from work tonight, had been thinking about it during the day, and I decided to go ahead and put a greater pitch on the roof. So I went in and took the time to take it back apart. I took one panel off of the back and then cut this angle with my saw, and that way we'll get the water off of it faster, the snow weight off of it faster. Obviously it's not very tall in the back, but goats aren't very tall. And so instead of doing the header like I was going to do across here, I'm going to notch it so this will set down in there. This will work really good. This one will be right in the front here. I'm getting ready to notch it. And I think it'll be a whole lot better because where these panels come together, like that, I'm going to have to caulk that seam, and so I'm going to want the water to shed fast. So that's what I decided to do. All right, so here we are. I'm excited about the new shed. I think Lisa's excited about too. We've had them in this little bitty old shelter, little hut, and they're getting wet and sleeping in their manure. And
Even the bedding was getting wet, and I know winter's coming, cold weather's coming. So this shelter is 100%, okay, 99.5% all used materials, all free materials. I did have to purchase screws. So I guess if you count that and electricity to charge the cordless drill batteries. But this is made out of garage door panels, and I'm excited about it. It's just going to be perfect. All these panels are insulated. This is true homesteading, in my opinion. I was excited about this. I was thinking about a way to tie both sides together and put it on skids. And I thought about going and buying 4x4 skids, but I didn't want to buy 14-foot 4x4 skids and pay all that money for them. We've been cutting cedar tree poles down here for the 5 years and burning them in burn piles. And I said, well, let me go down. I've seen guys build log cabins. I'll go down and cut some poles and notched them with a chainsaw, put them on there, fasten them on. A lot of things worked out just on accident, and then were repurposed. This bracket here was a bracket off of a panel. This bracket was already there, so it gives us some good stability here. Got to worry about a little bit of snow weight or limbs falling on it. Another bracket here that I put on it for stability on the top. You think, well, why didn't you put it on the bottom? But I've got a reason for that. I'd have to show you inside of here. And then that was an accident that I had the gap across the top. But I've seen cattle shelters and horse shelters that purposely leave that gap for good ventilation. So we're going to leave that in there. It's on the skids. It's movable. And it'll close up this gap in the bullpen from where Lisa's at to here. And that way the shelter doesn't have to be inside the bullpen. Now I'm going to turn Lisa loose. She's been here with me. And going to butt it on up against the fence, level it, block it up, do everything I need to do. Drive some T-posts to the ground, wire to the T-post so the wind can't get underneath it and blow it away. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody following us through on this project. The goats are, the doelings are ready for winter. Lisa, you got anything you want to put in on that?
I got nothing except for if you heard Piper barking over here and wanting some attention, I'll just turn the camera around so you can see Piper real quick. But that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. We appreciate everyone that follows our channel. Thank you for hitting the like button. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. If you do that and you hit all under the notification bell, you'll get a notification every time we put out new content and new videos. See you on the next video.